Gotta clean that up to stay. What's happening?
And like, I don't like the fact that I can't get Stack Overflow help on Twitter because I've been shadow banned.
I don't know if you've
I've
been
published
shadow
like two.
banned.
I had I I posted something 18 hours ago and I had 30 impressions, but I have like 1,300 followers.
I think
30 impressions. On LinkedIn, I posted something. I posted a link to my blog. I had like 5,000 impressions within like 24 hours.
yeah, I wonder if a lot of that or some of that might be that a lot of tech people are suddenly kind of pissed off at Twitter.
Or pissed off at me. I
So they have
mean, it still
accounts,
has.
so they just don't go on it. I didn't see your questions when I was looking at it. I did see your post about being shadow banned.
Yeah, that's my point. Like when I look at the metrics or analytics, do you know how low 30 is? You have the worldwide internet. You probably have, I don't know, 100,000 people that in theory would at least see my Twitter post. And out of 100,000, 30 actually observed it. Doesn't mean that they clicked on it, it just showed up in their feed. 30 out of like
Yeah,
100,000. So I can't do the math, but it sounds like 0.0003% or something. I don't know.
man. I don't know. My Twitter feed, the top of it now is basically just like 90% people having a meltdown over things Elon Musk does on Twitter. So I'm waiting for this phase to be over and things to go back to normal. But we'll see. I don't know if it will.
I've been going balls deep into Pulumi, and it's really forcing me to understand how Azure resources are put together. Like I've been writing hella code trying to stand this thing up.
Hmm.
And so far, the most complicated piece as of this morning is uh, creating managed identities so that a function app can have access to a key vault so that it could pull down some secrets and
Hmm.
and use that data.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's the part where I'm throwing my head against the wall because you have these one resource relies on another resource that hasn't yet been created, but it needs that resource's property. So, for example, connection string. Another one is function keys. And so, like, I'm having a hard time understanding how Pulumi framework works with like future values or promises, and it's I don't know, it's challenging work. I'm going to make sure I market myself as a DevOps person after I'm able to stand this speech delivery thing up by just spinning up environments programmatically, just like that. Just like what is his name? Thanos?
You did
Snap your
snap.
finger.
Half your
Yeah.
half your environments go down.
No, in this case, in this case, I was talking about the opposite.
Yeah,
You know, your
half your
dev,
environments
your
go up.
test, and your prod. Well, your prod should stay up, but your anyways,
Yeah, I get it.
it's interesting work. I learned to enjoy programming in C sharp just because I'm such an awesome F sharp programmer. I mean, the F sharp gurus will say, Scott, no, you're not. But I don't know. I used to like prefer only F sharp, and now it's like C sharp, I can make it look good. So
Yeah, I think they've done enough with the language where a lot of the ceremony and the ugliness, and just getting rid of that top level indent because of the namespace was a freaking huge win.
yeah.
Like, now it's like, man, if you could do that, what else could you do? Like, could you make like
My t- well, my two
classes? I don't know. Yeah, or just put.
so my two favorite features. My number one feature in C sharp is still well, okay. I guess async await in theory, since I use it the most, would probably be the my favorite feature, but it's kind of an unsung hero. My next favorite feature would be method extensions.
Yeah,
Like I I make things look cool. All right. I still think they're underappreciated in a lot of code bases that I see.
yeah, yeah. I
But
mean, I try to use
yeah,
them occasionally. I mean, they're a good way to build out functions, but especially if you're trying to build a fluent API, that's always fun.
well, you just you have an opportunity to remove an argument from uh from your syntax.
Yeah.
So
One thing with async await though is like that always bugged me was the fact that it kind of forces you into like an imperative thing. It's really hard to chain async stuff. Like you can, but it's difficult. And you
yeah,
can there's some extension methods you could write to do like if you want to chain tasks together, you could add another like binding function. That's the equivalent of like a select many, or I suppose in what is it? Whatever. Anyways, flat map or whatever. Um,
yeah, I was gonna say.
but I don't know. I did that at my last job. I created an extension method that would take the output of a task and feed it into await it and then feed it into a new function that produced a task of the same type or a different type. And it was really smooth to do that versus doing the whole yeah doing like the await thing. Although then I was starting to nest like it's a task of a result of maybe this item. It was like, oh shit. Once you get into that depth on
Hmm.
it, then it becomes really obnoxious in C sharp. Like where I want to create custom async types, but I haven't really dug into how to do that. I think it's possible, but I just haven't done it. I had a hackathon this weekend at work, so we got the last
Did
or
you?
first 3 days of the week to work on basically whatever project we want with teams of up to 4. So we got sixth place um, overall, which is good. There were a lot of teams, but I still got like the second
I was
best.
googling
Well,
hackathons yesterday.
I got like this, still got like the second most expensive prize I think on the list, which was funny. Like everyone passed it over, and I'm like, why wouldn't I just get that? I could literally sell it and buy double or triple of half of these items. So, but it was fun just get placing because last year I just did awful. So when I was in it, so I was pretty excited yesterday. We built a kind of like a streaming platform, so like you could go live from the browser, which actually is not an easy thing to do. And it even the solution that we came up with was a pretty janky. Because there's going live from the browser like you do with StreamYard here involves like there's like a few methods you can do, but it's like you have to. I think the method we landed on was you open a WebSocket to the back end and you use this media recorder feature to just pipe data there, and then there's you then pass that over to a streaming server. But man, I don't know. But then we had chat,
You
like
did
real time chat, and we had real time like kind of like an auction type feature because you were scanning in items and capturing them, and then you yeah, people would possibly bid on them while you were doing it, and then you as this person who's the live streamer would see their bids come in and they could accept or deny the bid or reject the bid.
You did all that in a hackathon?
Yeah, it wasn't like super like
Did
feature
you use
heavy, but
Chat GPT?
no, not really.
I'm
I don't
gonna
know if
start
you.
using that in hackathons.
Yeah, I might start using it at work for things because I think the biggest thing actually is I might start giving it methods to get code coverage because I think that if I just feed it a line to say take this function, this method, and write me a unit test for it, it will probably do it nicely. And that's like if it could do that for me, where it could do all of the think through all the paths that it has to do to get 100% code coverage and just write a stupid test to do it, just to yeah, and it writes it nicely too. It's not like it can understand the what the method is trying to do. It's pretty friggin' cool, I think.
Mm.
Why
Oh,
don't you make those const strings?
why? Oh,
Yeah.
why don't I?
Are you mutating
Is it?
them?
Well, it still needs to be public, right?
Yeah.
You're just saying, just why don't I just make it read only?
No, const.
I know what
Well,
constant
yeah.
is. It's still read only, right?
Yeah, it would be read only. And but it's also not it's also like a runtime or a run, yeah, it's constant.
Compile time instead of
Yeah.
runtime.
Yeah, just curious.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know if there was a
So
reason.
no, I rarely. Uh-oh.
Oh,
I rarely. I rarely use const. Something like that.
yeah. It's mad because you're running, but purple.
So where you come here. If I go back over here, it'll show all the resources that it generated. Maybe not. Oh yeah, yeah. It'll show all the resources that it generated. No, wow. And it failed to create a lot of them. Oh, because it's creating all these secrets. That's interesting. I wonder why the secrets failed.
Hmm.
That's fine. Uh, yeah. Why did it fail? I gotta investigate that. Have you looked at Pulumi before?
No, no, actually, like the whole DevOps and like that kind of stuff, part of software development, it's probably like my bottom thing that I hate the most, like about software development. I really just don't like thinking about infrastructure, thinking about how like I mean, don't get me wrong, I like thinking about how the code and like I'm wary of the fact that you're running on things that are have limitations, but I really like it being in the code more than I do the actual infrastructure. Um, it's like I don't know. It
I
infrastructure
agree.
just seems so hard. I don't know how to describe it.
Tedious
Tedious, and
and
it's you're
getting it
dealing,
right. It's very error prone.
yeah, and you're always dealing with like bizarre problems that like are totally obscure and just I don't know.
Uh,
But I don't know. Maybe
I
it's also
mean, in
because
my case,
I
I'm
was gonna say
listening.
maybe it's also because like I don't have like primarily in companies you don't have as much access to infrastructure as you like, especially when you get into like production, and so you're always doing something with your hands tied behind your back, right? It's like, oh, I need access to this, or I need access to this now, or I need access to this now. It's always a hands behind your back type of thing, trying to get anything to work. Like if you just set this stuff up, locally, and you're the like this, and you can tinker with it and be free, and no one's going to tell you you can't do it. Um, that might be different, but I don't know. Have you ever tried to make a tri-monad?
Have you ever tried to make a try? No, dude, I still don't know what a monad is.
I might even be using that term wrong. I don't know. And it's like a pattern, but
I keep asking, and no matter how many times people answer the question, it still doesn't click.
wasn't it?
I've asked Odie like 3 different times what a monad is, and I still don't understand it.
Yeah, select many is the monad part of IEnumerable, right?
I
That's
don't know.
that's I think according to the thing. And it's like if you look at it, it's like a pattern, and it really makes sense. Is that if you're gonna make a map of like select, and then you wanted to take and then receive like an IEnumerable in it, what you're going to get out the other side is an IEnumerable of an IEnumerable of something, right? And then, but what you really want to do is like flatten those things, and it makes more sense with like maybe types, right? So it's like you have maybe okay, so it's like maybe you have a customer record, and then you shove that into another function that returns a map of it that only gets called if that thing actually exists, right? Like, so if I actually have a customer, shove it into this thing. But if let's say the result is of that, then is like maybe a child customer record or something like that. Then you get stuck in this really weird loop of like, oh, now I've got a maybe of something, and now I need to somehow pipe it into another function to extract the child or evaluate the maybe, and do something with it or whatever, when really you could just flatten it. And I feel like it's that flattening feature that is really just what makes a monad a monad. Otherwise, it's a monoid or something like that. I don't really know.
Oh, I know why this. Okay, you gotta. No, you know what? Like, I decided in my life that monads, the actual definition or meaning of a monad is not important to me.
Yeah, it's like a taco. Hey, you know what you could do is ask Chat GPT to explain a monad to you, like you're 5, and see if it can actually make it you understand it. There you go. Maybe I'll do that while you're working on Pulumi. Um, Thinking about submitting a conference talks again.
Hold up for 1 second. Why would I have to? You know anything about Azure?
A little.
Why would it say that I need to purge all deleted objects if I literally just deleted everything? Hold up. If you want to remove the stack completely, run Pulumi stack. Yeah, maybe I'll run this. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Sorry. Hold up.
That's all right.
Oh, I got lucky choosing this as a profession, but man, like people, people want the outcome, but they're not willing to do the work. You know, it's I don't think the average person could. How many people you think are really cut out to be software engineers? Like willing to put in the personal study,
I
the
think that
research,
yeah. I
continuous
think
growth,
I think that
or
my
maybe it's
one
not required, and that's why the
yeah,
industry is in the state that it's in today.
it's probably not. Like if you think about it, like let's just say you're not always trying to stay up on the latest things, right? You can actually you can write a program and keep it running and going well for many, many years with limited knowledge of like new things, right? It's the industry that tries to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But really, like if we just said, let's go to our core things that work and that are like powerful, and we stuck with that, we could probably get by a lot better. I think we actually create complexity for ourselves, because we're otherwise be so bored with our work. I don't know if that makes sense or not, um, but I did have a college professor once that said that there was some research, and it's like there's 15 or 20% of the population that there's some percentage of the population that's a smaller number, right? Let's just say it's 80-20, so 20% that software development just comes like that to them. Like I feel like I'm in that bucket. Like when I started coding, like not everything made sense right away, but it clicked really fast, right? Like, oh yeah, the basics of program flow and thinking through step one, I needed to do this. Step two, I need to do this. Step three, I need to do this. Came really easy to me, and you could see someone right next to you got the same lesson as you did, just no grokking. And that's what she said is like 20% of the population will get it right away. Another
Yeah, that was the
60%.
latter part.
Yeah, another 60% is gonna get it, but they have to really work at it. And then there's 20% that just they never understand or get it. Like it just doesn't matter how much you put in it, it'll never click for them. So it's basically like, and this is the progression that I always saw at school. It's like the people that got it in that top 20%, they stayed computer science. People who needed to work
Yeah,
at it,
I'll
they
fall
went
into the
to
middle part when I was
they
learning the program, and then also with like, can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah. Can you hear me?
Sean, oh,
I
you
can
can't
hear
hear me?
you.
Okay.
Can
Because
you hear me?
your video is like freezing over and over again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
I hear you. No,
you're
I was saying stuff, but like
turn that
you were
off.
talking over me, and I think
Yeah,
there's some latency going on.
yeah, that might be. I'll turn my video off to try to save bandwidth. Maybe that'll help.
Test, 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 test.
Test, 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 test.
Oh, yeah, I hear you fine now. You could turn your video back on. Like your video was like freezing, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was trying to say something, and then you just kept on talking as if I wasn't, and so I was like, maybe there's some
Hmm.
connectivity issues.
Yeah, that's weird. Um, but I was saying about the 20,
No,
like,
I was saying that I fit into the.
go ahead. You fit in the
It's
middle.
happening again. What if I turn off my? What if I turn off my video? If I, how do I hide? How do I hide my video?
There should be a stop cam or Control E.
I don't know how to do it. Oh, stop cam. No, I was saying that I fit in the middle where it. I'm a slow learner. It just takes me a while to learn a new language. It's even when I was at school learning how to program, I did not understand what I was doing. I'm like, why am I entering these words onto the editor? Like I didn't know what programming was. I didn't. I just majored in it because I knew they were making like $60,000 a year with a bachelor's, and that
Mm-hmm.
was when I was at a community college. And the same thing with F sharp. I'm like, I have no clue what all these operators are. I don't know any of this, but I'm doing a contract in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I have unhealthy thoughts when I get off work, and I really need to keep my mind occupied. And so I just started picking up F sharp.
Yeah.
Uh,
You see, I was the opposite. Like, I started programming on my calculator because people were making games like, there's one called like Drug Wars and stuff like that, and these things. And some of my friends were starting to do it. So I just went and started looking at the sample because we didn't have the internet really in any earnest way back then. So it was like I went into the back of the TI-83 manual and just looked at the programming section and put it together. And I was able to put together a couple basic games. Like there was one that um, was about the Polish King Sobieski's ride down to, or like battling with the Ottomans in yeah, at the Battle of Vienna, where they fought back the Ottoman Empire and prevented Europe from conquest. So it's kind of a fun, stupid game. I actually asked Chat GPT to write a similar game for me in TI Basic, and it pretty much did. Like, at least the first part. It stops writing code after a while. Like it gets like, oh, your time is up, and then it moves on to someone else.
Yeah, because I bet
But
it's hella expensive for it to compute all that.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I did ask it to explain a monad to me like I'm 7. Um, I don't know that
Was it able to?
it says. I don't know. I haven't read it full yet. A monad is a way
Let
of organizing
me.
code that helps you write programs that's easier to
You can
understand
share
and
your
explain.
screen again. Hopefully, I killed some processes on my computer. I don't know if it's going to make a difference.
Okay, here's where it gets into it.
Um, let
Imagine
me
you.
try. Hold up. So it's called ChatGPT.
Yeah. Imagine you have a toy
Am I
box. A
supposed to
toy
say
box
.com?
is like a monad. It has a lot of different toys inside, and you can use those toys to play at different games. Just like the toy box, a monad has a lot of different parts inside of it, and you can use those parts to do different things in your program. One of the special things about a monad is it keeps your toys organized. It keeps track of them and different things you're doing, so you don't lose any of them or mix them up. Oh, another special thing about one is it can help you combine different toys or parts of your program together to make new things. For example, you might take a toy or car or airplane and put them together to make a toy rocket. In the same way, you can use a monad to take different parts of your program and combine them into something new. I don't know. I don't think that really explains it too well. It explains like generic containers, but which I suppose are monadic. But I thought that
What is going on? Why can't I?
we want to restart the stream, or not stream, but just join the link
Do
back
you see
again.
my screen?
I see a spinning worm
No.
trying to catch its
I
tail.
mean, I think everything is fine when we cut off our videos. I just don't understand why I have to cut off the video. All right. You see my screen?
Yeah.
Sean,
Yeah.
you see my screen?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Why do I have to sign up?
It's not too bad. They're
All right.
because people are writing scraping bots for this. I don't know if you notice on Stack Overflow that they don't accept ChatGPT answers.
I saw it this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they had a huge banner on there.
Yeah, it's been on there for a few days.
Why do I need a password to sign in?
I just signed up with
Are
my
they monetizing already?
No, I just signed up with my Microsoft account. I could share my screen too if you don't want to sign up.
No, I'm gonna throw in the password. I just didn't want to record the number of characters that I type in. Um. Oh. What does GPT stand for? I think I asked you this last time.
Oh man, it's like, oh man, I can't remember. I did like look it, but I didn't commit it to memory.
Hopefully, I'm not sharing my screen right. All right, good. So
Generative
then it's gonna
pre-trained
send me an email and I
transformer.
have to click on the.
Third generation. It's a generative pre-trained transformer.
Yeah, I've been watching. I was binge watching YouTube videos about it. Like, did anybody see this coming? Like, were you aware of it like last year?
No, but the thing is like I think this is the same thing as like Dolly, but it with the whole like,
What
whoa, it
was
can
Dolly? I
generate
thought that was a
image.
clone sheep.
No, yeah, I think it was, but is it Dolly the one that makes images, right? Um, and
Yeah,
then
I
that
never heard of it.
creating art and images, like you feed it a thing that says like, show me cat sausages in space, and it'll make like a picture of cat sausages in space, or like give me a picture of an elephant staring at the moon holding a hamburger in its mouth or something like that, or in its snout, and it'll do that. So it's basically the same thing, but it's more towards like text and that. The thing is like I tried actually using it to build code, and I think for simple things it is, and we talked about this a little last week, right? But for simple things, it kind of can do really well, and it can be a useful um, it can be a useful like addition to what you're doing, but I don't think it's gonna replace us anymore. Because like I was going through it, I'm like, this needs some work. It's not quite right. So,
I'm still
but
going through the sign up process.
part of it is that it doesn't know technologies that are like in the last year. It gets oftentimes it makes assumptions too about certain libraries and things like, oh, if this is available in this language, it should be available here or written in the same way. So I was trying to do it to explain to me certain like things about computer vision processing, and I wanted to use OpenCVJS, which is the JavaScript like library of it, and it got a lot of the methods wrong, um, or the functions wrong in terms of how you actually invoke them, and it thought certain things were there that it wasn't. So, like if you're trying to do anything sufficiently complex with code, like it's not going to do a very good job for you. But if you're trying to do simple things, like you're writing a function to just read bits and bytes out of a database, throw it on a screen, and then send it back, like a lot of coding is. Yeah, actually, it'll help.
You see my screen?
Yeah, it'll say that it can't surf the internet or have information about specific people.
Uh,
Go ahead, try though.
why is
Why is Scott Nimrod?
close closure?
It
What is
does.
closure? Hold up. Why does closure have a cult following? Uh, why does closure? I should say why does Apple have a cult following? But whatever. Man, this thing's taking forever.
Yeah, it's got a lot of
I
source
was
code.
being no, it was a joke how like I literally waited like 2 seconds and this thing is like executing like 2 billion instructions to give me a result. Clojure is a programming language that has a cult following because it has a number of features that make it particularly appealing to certain types of developers. Some of the reasons that Clojure has a cult following include Lisp-like syntax. Clojure is a dialect of Lisp. Functional programming. Clojure concurrency. Interoperability overall. Clojure's unique combination of features makes it a powerful and appealing choice for certain types of developers, which has helped to build a dedicated following. That was
Could they?
impressive.
Did you see that Java dropped a place on the TIO index for programming languages?
Good.
Yeah, so now it's, you know what overtook it, and what's
Yeah,
the
yeah, give me a second. C sharp.
nope.
Because C sharp was behind Java, right?
Yeah, it is behind, and it didn't change places, I don't think.
Python.
Python's number one.
Oh, JavaScript's number two, right?
Nope. JavaScript's actually like number seven or something like that.
What number? What place is Python? I
Python's
mean, I'm
one.
sorry. No, you just said. I meant to say,
Yeah,
what place is Java?
it's now four.
So
I
what
think
took
C
Java?
sharp is five.
What took Java? Nah, C sharp is not going to be five.
Yeah, it is.
It's not. C sharp is not one place behind Java.
It it is now. Well, on the TIOB index, I'm not sure what their methodology is, but
If I
um,
could guess what overtook Java, and you said it's not Python, you said it's not JavaScript, man.
Well,
PHP is not going to overtake Java.
you're forgetting a very, very popular
C++.
base language. Yes, that's it.
C++ has a resurgence. What,
Python,
because of machine learning? Oh, why would
performance
C++?
and stuff. They've
Huh?
added a lot of language features, and there's a lot of C programmers still out there because C is number 2 still.
What's the name of that thing? What list?
The TIOBE
How you spell
Programming
that?
Community Index, TIOBE. See, that won't know anything beyond 2001 though. Chat GPT doesn't, but it should know what it was last year. Then,
Beyond 2021, you meant?
yeah, before 2021 maybe, but because it won't know 2021 or beyond 2021. So it'll say I can't know that because I'm only trained until 2021. Maybe it won't, but maybe it'll try to give you the last year's one. See if it was smart. And it's like, well, you probably mean. Yeah. Yeah, so search engine rankings basically. Yeah, so JavaScript is actually below Visual Basic still, surprisingly, in terms of like search things. Visual Basic is number 6. So it's Python, C, C++, Java, C Sharp, Visual Basic, JavaScript, SQL, assembly language, PHP, R, Go, Classic Visual Basic, MATLAB, Swift, Delphi, Ruby, Perl, Objective-C, and then Rust is now in 20. It's actually pretty cool if you look at the graphs. You can see the graphs over time. Here, let me. I can share too and show you.
Why is it repeating the same thing? Oh, what company backs this OpenAI?
OpenAI does. I believe OpenAI
Are they
is.
public?
It's funded by Elon Musk and I think some other people.
Of course. Is it did they IPO yet? The organization?
Um, did they
What's up?
IPO? No, I don't think so. I don't know. They are getting. I think they are making money off of DALL-E now. Actually, it's interesting. Yesterday, so that hackathon thing. One of the
That's
guys
Sharp's
that
not
was
even
in the
on here. That's
one of
crazy.
the one of the things in the hackathon that somebody made was a magic card generator using OpenAI. So it fed it OpenAI a prompt and basically generated 2 prompts. So it created text for a magic card based on the prompt and an image for the thing based on a prompt. And then it combined those into a thing, and it did it. So, anyways, here's the 2020 list. But yeah, so Java went down 1, C++ went up 1, and C Sharp is still sitting here. But it's kind of cool. You can see like, oh,
Sharp's not on there.
look at Python's meteoric rise, and Java's slow decline. C like took a dip, and then it came back.
How would they know based on NuGet packages that people pull down?
No, this is based on search. It looks like it's based on
Oh, okay.
search things like how many people are actively trying to learn about and interact with this language. Surprisingly, assembly language is like gone up. Look at Visual Basic. Something happened in 2020 that what happened in 2020 that made it jump like that? I wonder.
Visual Basic, what, 6 or VB.net? Or just in general?
Visual Basic, yeah, I mean Visual Basic.net.
What is Julia?
Oh, is this the rest of it? You mean? I've seen Julia, but I've never committed what it was.
Where is F Sharp
Scratch.
at? Is it really behind?
43.
Wow.
But it's still at about, let me see. Oh, right next to OCaml, its brother.
F sharp is behind COBOL. It's behind Fortran. I never even heard of Julia. Kotlin should be further up. Haskell.
Visual Fox Pro. It's going over F sharp, man. That's pretty crazy. Wasn't Fox Pro like a flash in the pan type thing?
I thought it was. I don't even think it's supported anymore.
I'm actually surprised to see TypeScript so low though.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because languages that make sense don't have to be searched so much.
This was from 2000. This is from 2021.
This is 2022. I said the big news was that Java dropped to third to a place. It has never been out of the top 3 since the dawn of the TIOB index. It was replaced finally. Right, you can see C++
Why are so
taking
many
over
people writing C?
performance.
No, no. You said this is based on Google searches,
Hmm.
which means that no, it doesn't. Why? There's not that many people writing C. Like the
You'd be
majority.
surprised, man.
No, no. The majority of people are building apps, or business programs. They're not
My
doing.
my
They're not writing firmware. They're not writing video games.
my first gig was writing business applications with C, and they I think added C++ into the mix after about the time I left because they were switching platforms with the code. But up until that point, for like 30 years or something, they had been writing C programs for all of their backend logic.
Okay, so here's the argument. To your point, there's way more legacy systems that are written in C and C++ than there are in your more modern languages, which means that those systems still need to be maintained.
Yeah, and
Uh,
but C is like a lot of people still like C. I still like C. I think it's nice and clean and small.
I don't like
Um,
I don't understand the syntax. Mem, alec. I don't
oh
understand that stuff.
yeah, memalloc is just like a heap allocation, so it's like doing a new.
I don't like the name of it.
It's allocate memory. I always hide it behind like stuff. So man, I haven't written C in a while, but you can write a object oriented like C by just you take a structure, you put some functions, create it like a new function that will mem allocate the space for the struct and then return the struct, and then you can go from there. And there's like some really cool tricks you can do with information hiding, like you give like a public struct space by like defining a structure, but then you add on additional memory that you allocate and throw additional data behind it that then internally you can keep track of. So you can make like private members. You can also do kind of like inheritance, because if your first member of your struct is like your base class, and then you have additional fields underneath that, um, like you can do basically inheritance. So you can pass the same uh, thing by reference to a function or whatever that you create for some base class. So man, I
Nerd.
got deep into C. I was in terms of trying to write it like modern like, but I don't know.
Gambler says it's Friday. I nearly missed the most important podcast of the week. Yeah, Gambler, you're my only viewer. And then it says Tiob.
Meh.
Meh, I don't remember how they measure ranking, but as far as I know, it's funky. Um,
Well, if it's based off of search
is it
indexes, like
funky
I
or
said,
funky?
it's probably based on how obscure the language is, or both popularity of getting it working and stuff, but just like how many problems people have in it.
Do Europeans say funky instead of funky, or is it me just
I'd say
having
funky.
like it's
I don't.
not FAUNKY? NKY, funky.
No, it's always been funky. At least to me, it has. But huh.
Is it okay? Anyway, I wouldn't bother that much. Probably better measurement is open jobs or something like that.
Yeah, we were looking at. I think that the headline was that Java dropped a place compared to C++ on that TIOB index, which has never happened since they Java's never fallen out of the top three. But I can see why, because Java sucks. I hate Java. Sorry. Maybe I'd like
I
Java.
don't hate the language as much as I hate the programmers that use it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gambler, I don't understand why you invest time in our conversations because no one else does. Is it comical to you? Is it like here are the things not to do when you consider launching your own YouTube channel? And it's like lessons learned. Like what is it? Why why are you
Little
so
do we know that
consistent?
Gambler keeps a detailed log of our entire conversations, and
He's probably a Russian spy.
yeah,
He claims that he's what do you
yeah.
call it?
Actually,
Not
I don't really like C++ that much either. To be honest, it's gotten messy. As I like C because it's clean, it's small, it's simple. C++ is just like,
I
ugh.
have to Google everything when I'm trying to. I remember like 5 years ago, I was like, I'm about to relearn C++. I didn't survive like a morning. I'm like, no, I'm not.
I always just end up writing C when I go back to C++. So Python is really nice though. I for scripting to do
The
scripts and
syntax,
stuff, man, it's super simple, like
the
and fast.
speed, I guess the speed can be a concern if you need something that's performant, right?
I would say it's more the type. It's probably more typing that's the problem than in the speed and stuff because you don't have strong types, right? It's a dynamic
No, I
language.
thought I thought it was like 100 times slower than C sharp,
It might be, but if that
and I thought
if it was
and
a
it,
yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
and it doesn't support concurrency. I thought it was similar to like JavaScript, right?
I guess I haven't looked too much at the internals of it. I just know that it's kind of nice to write code in sometimes. I haven't written in
No.
it for a while though, man. It's been
I'm a
years.
I'm an elite programmer. All the peasant programmers write in JavaScript and Python. Like the billions or the millions and millions of mainstream programmers, like they could have that. I'm elite. I program the things that most people can't learn, and that's how I protect my ego.
Hmm. This thing about submitting
Isn't
conference talks, I think I said that earlier, but I haven't done that since like 2018, maybe
I
the
keep
last
getting
time.
rejected.
There's a CFP open right now. I've been thinking about doing it. I was reminiscing about I
What
guess
would be the
2017 or
topic?
2018. One I would do so it's really one thing that's good about conferences if you want to learn something, like it'll force you to if you get accepted to give a talk. But one would be like building like a real time communications app using WebRTC because I'm really interested in that right now. Um, there'd probably be one on handling concurrency issues with Microsoft Orleans, and then I might submit one about. I'm still on the fence about it, but like something to do with computer vision, because then that would be fun to learn more about computer vision.
I would do a conference talk on Pulumi so that I could try to get up to like 150 an hour, which I have no clue what the market rate is. What's the market rate for Terraform?
For Terraform, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how you.
Terraform hourly rate.
Where's the
I
yeah?
bet you it's probably like I bet you it's probably like 90 an hour.
Is anybody aggregating that into a website? There's your million
It's
dollar ad driven website.
$72.12 per hour. No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah. The average DevOps engineer Terraform salary. Well, what about contract? Hold up. Okay, that didn't help. ZipRecruiter claims that 125,000 to 193,000 a year. All right, what if I say Pulumi, which should be more because it's not
Oh
as
yeah, that's right.
ubiquitous.
Stack Overflow's
And of course, Pulumi doesn't even register.
yearly survey or whatever.
151,000. Oh shoot, I was right. If you decide to go the route as a freelance Pulumi developer, you can expect to make between 50 and 150 per hour on Upwork. All right, so if they say 150 an hour, that means I could get 170 an hour because I'm an exception.
Whenever I hear Upwork, the name Upwork, I always think of that really bad joke. Like, man, it smells like Updog in here.
Womp womp womp.
I know.
Well, I thought what was the what was the startup that was providing co-work facilities that tanked? Is it you or what?
Is
What
it
was the
like
name of it?
WeWork or no?
WeWork. Yeah, I'm confusing Upwork with WeWork.
Yeah. Did
Yeah,
they tank? I don't.
yeah. They
COVID.
no, it's not COVID. They were spending ridiculously amounts of money on things that they shouldn't have been spending ridiculously amounts of money on, and their operation expenses weren't in line with their revenue.
Hmm. That's because they were in a growth. They were in startup growth mode. I'm sure they just never actually reached. Because they would have been a unicorn right then. So they were
They were treated
operating at
as a
a
unicorn. They were treated
yeah.
as a unicorn.
They operated at a fail a little, at a deficit until but they never made profitability is what it sounds like.
I
So
think they went bankrupt.
yeah, but you can only take so much money before people are like, yeah, there's no. Well, I mean, I wonder if COVID hadn't happened, would they still be funded? Is the question because COVID changed a lot, right? Co-working spaces aren't going to be doing too well in a world where you can't go to places where you're afraid to be, infected.
I mean,
Like imagine you're like
COVID more than likely exacerbated it.
But just imagine
Right.
you're in like a bank meeting in 2021 and you're like, yeah, our business, we're looking for additional funding, round series of funding. We we provide co-working places for people. And you're like, but everyone can't go like COVID.
Yeah.
You'd turn off the faucet and then they'd run out of money and go bankrupt. That it seems like that would probably be the likely cause of their demise. But had COVID never happened, you would assume that they'd still be getting funding like Uber did and all of that. So
I
I
don't know
just
how to
can't believe
click on the link
assembly
that
language has gone up in
Gambler
the
provided.
index, TIOB index.
Yeah, that x86 processor. On link, scroll down, salary average by Prague Lang. I can't click on links on here. Like I can't click.
Yeah, that's something that um, maybe it could be a security feature of StreamYards that people don't, go off and click on people's things willy nilly. Senior
So
executives make the most.
I've been
That's a pretty low amount, though.
what's the synonym for unemployed?
Oh,
I've been in
median.
between I've been in between assignments for 2 weeks now.
SREs are still like whatever. This has got to be way out of date. This does not seem right. Or maybe this is. Let's see. Let's look at the United States. Yeah, go to the United States versus whatever, it changes things. because
Oh,
Europe and like Indian stuff pay their developers a lot less.
I was thinking about going to Cancun today.
Yeah, why not? YOLO, man.
I was thinking about that or hopping on a cruise ship. The only thing is, it's like when I'm not employed, how do I make sure I still have a good time? Like that's the thing. Like I don't want to invest in something where I don't get a good return on investment. Like I go to Cancun and I just do the same thing I'm doing in Miami. Like that's my concern.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I
That's why I
don't
say
really
anything on
have.
vacation.
Yeah, I don't have like a lot of experience with going on solo vacations. So you go to bars, I guess, and sing karaoke. I don't know.
I, periodically I practice karaoke, but I'm not consistent with it. I literally in my living room turn on like YouTube, do a search for karaoke song like R. Kelly, and then I try to sing along, thinking that one day I'm gonna go to a karaoke bar and just give a stellar performance and drop down to one knee and drop the mic, and then someone drapes a jacket or a blazer over my shoulder.
I sing
Karaoke is huge in Asian countries, like huge.
I sang karaoke this last weekend. Actually, it was kind of funny. I sang karaoke. I sang "Summer Nights" from Greece, and we just like I was just like, we need a random like girl to come and do this, the female part of it, and so we got this one gal up,
The
and then
duet.
afterwards she basically came and asked me out. She
Oh yeah.
comes up, she's like, "Hey, so you want to hang out sometime?" I'm like, "No, I'm married." Sorry, but I thought it was really funny.
Did that boost your ego? Like,
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
all night I was like, "Oh yeah, who's the guy pulling the chicks?" You know.
What one of my so one of my featured songs if I would do karaoke would be Circle of Life by Elton John. Hence reference to Lion King.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
Of
if I
course
ever had
I
get
don't
down
know
to
the
Florida.
words. All I know is like the chorus. I don't know like the actual song. I just know the chorus part.
In the circle.
Like
Yeah.
the circle line.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah. I actually I can't think of the lyrics to it. It's like
Something,
da-da-da.
something,
Yeah.
something, something, something by the sea. But something, 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 and something, 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 something. It's the circle of life. Amadeus, it moves us so. It's the circle. Anyways, I
Yep.
like R. Kelly too.
Yeah,
I
I was
got
like,
into
I'm
a
done. No more.
yeah.
Not gonna
I got
go and listen to people sing on on live stream anymore.
I protected R. Kelly. I think we had this conversation before, and this is where you're gonna get uncomfortable and say, "Oh, gotta go to work."
No. Well, it's getting that time anyways, but I don't get uncomfortable.
I was bumping R. Kelly, and some people said that I shouldn't play his music because you know the whole R. Kelly scandal, and he's in prison now for like 30 years, right, for
Yeah.
being a pedophile. And I was like, you know, we really have to question our our logic and our practices for punishing people. Um, so is pedophilia, if I'm even enunciating correctly, pronouncing it correctly, is it a sickness just as much as it is a crime? Um, and if it is a sickness, then should they be thrown in like prison, or should they be thrown in treatment facilities? They're still unsafe, right, to society. But what facility do you put them in? Do you put them in with a whole bunch of murderers, rapists? Technically, they are rapists. Technically, um, but are they? But when you say that they're sick, right? And when I say they're sick, if society has stated that homosexuality and transgender, whatever the word for that is, in regards to the behavior, if if your sexual orientation is involuntary,
Yeah, as long
then the
as
same then the same argument can be provided for people that are pedophiles. Their sexual orientation is young boys or young girls, and it's
yeah, actually there
involuntary.
was somebody making that case um, on Twitter this last week. I don't really know.
Do they get banned?
No, no, it was there's like a it was like an intellectual person, so they wouldn't get banned. But I don't really know what the I don't really know. I guess I see the point of it, like what you're saying. Um,
Gambler, things are handled differently in the states. Jared, for the Subway commercials, my understanding is like he had like child porn on his computers. He's in jail, right? He's not being treated. He's in prison. So, what are you saying, Sean?
yeah, I mean, I I don't know. I don't know what it would change. It's like, yeah, I guess it would be if it's involuntary and it's a okay. So you wouldn't like nowadays ask to send a someone who's like a homosexual to a treatment for homosexuality, right? Like that's almost like whatever. So you get into that same thing, yeah, and it gets
Are you
down to
asking me, or are you just making a statement?
no, that's a statement. It's like
Okay.
it is the way it is. Like we don't do that anymore. Um, at least they don't. It's been made illegal in a lot of places to do that. So it's like,
I thought
yeah,
China banned boy bands. I thought.
the I think if you take everything out of it, though, there's still just this thing that there's a danger to other people, right? From that people. So however you treat them, whatever, if unless there's a cure for it, if it is a if it's a mental illness, you have to just there's no other option but to keep them away from people in that situation. I don't know. Maybe you could create a lockdown community where they can live mostly normal lives, but they're just in lockdown rather than being like they just can't leave the area type of thing.
Okay, so you ready? You ready for something uncomfortable? Uh, and I'm going to tread carefully. If we look at statistics, right? Which sexual behavior um, results in a higher percentage of HIV or AIDS? And the data or the report would probably gravitate towards homosexuality, right? Or butt sex, regardless of homosexuality. Okay,
Okay.
that is a HIV and AIDS arguably is not in the it's a health concern, right? People die from it, or people their immune system is compromised from it, right?
Okay.
In theory, people get hurt from engaging in those acts. They do, regardless of how they may enjoy it. It results in the spread of disease and people that can't afford hospital bills going to debt, and people have lifelong treatment from it, and some people die. So the reason why I'm saying all this is, and I doubt if African countries use this logic, right? But if they do, they may say, no, we're going to ban these sexual practices because they're destructive to society because they result in death. And if that is the case, then that could be viewed as something that's not healthy for society and something that could be rendered as a crime. I
I
know
think
it's
that
not.
that no, I think that that takes the that puts the primacy on the society, right? In terms of something rather than protection of personal liberty. So there's a difference between like two people consensually doing things that could harm each other, right? Like
No, no,
literally,
it's more than those. Two. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
yeah.
just very briefly, it's more than two people because it's the gift that keeps on giving, right? You can sleep with somebody and decide to put it in a different hole, and then you meet the love of your life 5 years later, right? And they have no clue about the intimate details of your previous partners, and then they catch it, and then they have to get treatment once they find out or get diagnosed. If it goes untreated, then they're in a world of trouble. So I don't think it's
There's
that.
no crime there though. I mean, people.
What there's no crime if you're infected and you knowingly give it to somebody else. That's not a crime.
That is a
It
crime.
is a
But that
crime.
that yeah, that is. But then you shouldn't be. That's a crime at that point. It's different than banning the practice altogether. You're banning intentional harm from one person to another. That's a totally
It's
different thing.
it's what we already experienced with COVID. You if you didn't have on a mask, you would get fined over and over
Yeah,
and over
that's
again.
dumb.
You would be in violation,
And
right?
that's where people like and when you get into
My
like
my
more
argument is what is the difference between doing a certain sexual act that is prone to compromising one's immune system and other people unknowing within being a future partner also being being compromised like versus COVID. It's the same pattern, I think,
yeah, I guess
except more people are affected by COVID.
I guess if you advocated for forced masking and all that stuff, or like required masking and stuff like that, you'd be inconsistent by saying that, but there are that all falls apart though if you start really digging into the details of it, I'm assuming. But the thing is like at least consistency in my mind, like I wouldn't have required anyone to wear a mask. I wouldn't have required any masks indoors of anyone. It's like you as a business can have your own policy about that. I don't want to make it a crime for you to be like, we're open this week. And there were a lot of businesses, some in Minnesota, for instance, that hey, we're shutting down after whatever, and they're just like, we can't afford to do that. We have to stay open, and now they lost their business license. It's like so you either force them out of business because they're going to go bankrupt, or you force them out of business because they won't wear a mask, and it's or they won't enforce a mandate, which was actually to shut them down, not to mask up. But um, it's like they put people in a hard place with no out, and I don't know, man. When the
Oh,
I don't I think that's the thing that you don't see about they like you get labeled far right extremist now if you're in anywhere associated with the idea of personal liberty and freedom. Like a lot of I think classical libertarians that I think I fall into are we get labeled as far right extremists. It's really bizarre.
I
Um,
wonder if the number of people that died from smoking and obesity is greater than the number of people that died from COVID.
but the
And
thing is that we have to the thing I think is like who cares? We're all gonna die eventually, right? I just
okay,
I don't understand. Like if two
I could
people,
go, I could do a mass shooting because we're
no,
all
that's
going to die
different.
eventually.
It's different.
Well, can you clarify when you say who cares?
Well, I mean, in terms of so you started with being like this is detrimental to society because people are infecting each other and they're event like people are gonna die from it. And it's like, okay, if people are intentionally infecting other people without their knowledge, yeah, then you're basically you're harming that person, right? And
Well,
producing a situation where it
if
is
you
that
intentionally
makes
have
sense illegal.
if you intentionally have unprotected butt sex, regardless of you not going to get tested, you know what the concerns are. You know what the risks are.
Yeah, but if you don't have like knowledge of it, it's whatever.
Using ignorance by not getting tested, that's not a valid argument. People don't want to know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I guess what I'm
And
saying
then
is
what?
like
They could like
yeah, but it's and maybe if you're doing a lot of that, and you should,
come to
maybe there's
Miami.
a case, but
Come to Miami and just go driving on the freeway. You will see billboard after billboard after billboard of free HIV testing.
yeah.
There's a
The
reason why they're funding or marketing that because so
yeah,
many
I
people
mean,
have it down here.
yeah, they're trying to help people, protect, and that's fine. What I'm saying is I don't think that banning a practice that could be done among consensual people is that's not what the function of government is. The function of government
Well,
isn't
prostitution
to.
is the same argument.
I don't think prostitution should be illegal.
I don't think so
I
either,
think
but it
pimping
is.
and trade, like the sex trade and all of that, where somebody's like capitalizing on it and using force and intimidation and stealing is, but
I
that
think the government believes that these types of activities are catalysts for things that are difficult to control and govern against.
yeah, it's same thing with drugs. I don't think most drugs should be illegal. I think methamphetamine and like certain opioids should be illegal and combated because it is really like damaging. But like psychedelics, mushrooms, and all that kind of stuff, or any marijuana, or pretty much any other kind of non-addictive drug is just fine.
Yeah. Anyways, I was trying to map all this to
Pedophiles.
R. Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah. How do we get here from Palumi to from if we named this like streams, we'd call this from Palumi to pedophilia.
To unprotected butt
To
sex.
butt sex. Jeez, man, you go down some dark holes. No pun intended.
I don't.
Oh God.
On that note,
I think that's a good
oh,
place to end.
yeah.
Oh man.
All right, well, it's been real. I very very briefly had an hour and a half meeting trying to find a co-founder a couple days ago. I told them I was going to give them some tasks, some action items so that they could start recording their financial transactions because they're basically doing what my business is meant to automate, right? They're doing it manually on the beach. I met him like a year ago, and I'm considering him as a co-founder, with the motivation being to go in front of accelerator, incubator, or investors, maybe in 6 months.
Cool.
And
So he's doing it
that's it.
already, but doing it in a manual state. So you'd provide the automation over top of his manual process, basically.
Yes, and as a co-founder, like I still have to vet him, obviously, but as a co-founder, I told him that he would have to do everything that is the people factor of this business that I'm preparing to launch. So marketing, building up courier
Yeah.
rosters in different areas, and
Yeah. You're the technical co-founder then.
those two parts. And the part that I didn't tell him is sourcing equipment from China or
Do you do
Alibaba.
a lot of
Yeah.
podcast listening? Have you listened to like things like Startups for the Rest of Us and
I've been
those kinds of
binge
things, man?
watching YouTube videos on startups for the past like week. Ever since my contract ended, I've been going full throttle programming and bicycling like to YouTube videos on startups.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, good luck, man. Let me know how it
All
goes.
right.
So,
Yeah.
talk to you
The
next.
Gambler, it's been real. Take care. Thanks.
Yeah, we should be able
Bye.
to talk next week still of Christmas. All right. See ya. Bye.
See you. See you, Gambler. I'm out. Bye.